Since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, the world of sports has been on hold, but a lot of that could be changing over the next few weeks.
On This Morning, we hear from the oldest survivor of coronavirus in the country.
More sunshine, more warmer weather on tap for the rest of this week, but I am still keeping an eye on the chance for some rain before the first day of summer.
Up with KREM begins now.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us on your Wednesday morning. Actor Keanu Reeves is auctioning off a Zoom video phone call for a Northwest charity. Proceeds from the auction benefit Camp Rainbow Gold, a children's charity in Idaho. Now, during the 15-minute Zoom call, Reeves will share a glass of wine, answer questions, maybe even teach some sweet karate moves. Of course, the charity has had a hard time raising money during the pandemic, but so far, this call has raised $16,000 through the auction, which does end next Monday at noon. I think I'm probably going to submit it because I have to ask, now that we know what Jen's favorite movie is for Keanu's career, which is Speed, I have to ask what his own movie would be. Jen, I would have never pegged you for a fan of Speed, honestly.
Honestly, it's the only one I could name. So it wins by default.
Fair enough. Dana Marie, what would your highlight be if you got a chance to do anything with Keanu Reeves on a Zoom call? What would it be?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I just think it would just be cool to ask him what he did during quarantine. I think kind of like what Thomas Patrick was saying, learn a little bit about him, maybe some of his favorite things that he likes to do. I'm also why he's connected to this charity in Idaho. You know, he must have someone that is close to him that, or maybe impacted him in a certain way.
I love that idea. Tough to top, Thomas. What would you do?
Let's just make it a party night for 15 minutes. I mean, we could just throw some Jackbox games on our Zoom call as well, do a little screen sharing there, and who knows, maybe a good game of Quiplash with John Wick would be quite the entertainment for 15 minutes, wouldn't you say?
I gotta say, I would love to ask him what it was like to be in the Matrix, because we're so far separated from it now. But if you guys think about it, movies today have been shaped by the Matrix in so many ways. I would love to ask him about that whole process. But, you know, we'll have to submit our own claims, see if we get that shot.
Maybe we can pool together.
That's right. The Up with KREM team with Keanu Reeves. Let's do it. See if we can schedule him for on our show. That'd be great. We do want to take a live look outside this morning, looking more locally here with the Keanu Reeves less forecast as Thomas Forecast jumps in this week for Evan and Ronnie. What else can we expect this weekend, man?
Here's the thing. I just want to take in this scene because there was so much sunshine this morning. It feels like we've just been void of that the last several days with the cloud cover just keeping us in the dark, keeping us in the cold weather, if you will. We should warm things up quite easily. So even though we're still sitting at 50 degrees right now, don't worry, it's still 7:30 in the morning. So we got plenty of time with plenty of sunshine to warm things up. Should hit that 60-degree mark by about 10 or 11 o'clock this morning, and eventually to around 70 this afternoon. If you're looking to get outside, the morning hours is actually going to be the better bet because the afternoon we might have to be dodging some scattered thunderstorms for today. So keep that in mind if you have an outdoor plan for the afternoon hours. You have to keep an eye to the sky so you don't get rained on overall. But at least that widespread cloud cover is shifting off to the east. So we got a nice little belt of some clear skies over Washington as of right now, but watching the skies for pop-up thunderstorms later on today. We'll detail just what hours we'll start to see that activity begin across the inland Northwest, all in just a few minutes. And here's a look at some of our traffic cameras across the region. Looks like most of that foggy weather that we saw is starting to clear up, so we should be good to go. Still not too much traffic out there, so shouldn't be too much in terms of delays.
All right, Thomas, thank you so much. I certainly can tell that it's getting brighter out, a little less fog as we get into our 7:30 half hour. Well, here are 3 things to know on our Wednesday morning. Starting Monday, Washington State driver's licensing offices will reopen, but visitors will need to get an appointment in order to get inside. Hey, maybe it'll work out better. You won't have to take a ticket and wait in line. Again, you will need an appointment come Monday when those driver's licensing offices reopen. Now, the Idaho Attorney General's office is warning COVID-19 patients to be aware of phony contact tracers. There are reports of crooks posing as health district workers in an effort to gain personal and financial information from patients. Idaho leaders say contact tracers will not ask about banking information. They say anyone who receives a call should hang up and call authorities. The Trump administration leaders say once it is made, the COVID-19 vaccine will be free to those who cannot afford it. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services reports at least 7 companies are working on a vaccine. Experts say the goal is to have 300 million doses available by early next year. Well, today was supposed to be the opening day for the Spokane Indians 2020 baseball season. Yeah, not going to happen, as we know. Joshua Robinson, though, is joining us now with more on what we can expect in the sports world.
Jen, it is kind of a tough time for anyone who likes baseball at any level because, yeah, as you mentioned, we know that the Indian season has been indefinitely postponed. But not all local and statewide sports scenes have that same grim outlook. Today, though, we want to look at the latest updates around the sports world, specifically in the ones that we see locally and throughout the Pacific Northwest. So while we are talking about Spokane Indians, yeah, there's no sign of when any baseball season could possibly start, especially with negotiations at the Major League Baseball level going very ugly over the last few days. Multiple MLB sources confirm league owners and player representatives are less hopeful now than they have been all year long of a season actually happening. In fact, according to several baseball insiders with The Athletic, at least 8 team owners have said they're okay with not putting on a baseball season at all. But the world of football, very different. The NFL has canceled mini camps this month, but the medical director with the NFL Players Association says there's a lot of work being done right now to make some negotiations in terms of finalizing protocols that would get players into team facilities. The league is also working on a plan to test players as many as 3 times a week, and they could even hold a shortened 2-game preseason. Of course, there are a lot of focus right now on when or if enough states would actually reopen to allow such a high-impact sport, or how they would handle any positive cases moving forward. In fact, just this week, multiple players from the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans tested positive for COVID-19. Right now, though, the first game of the season is still scheduled for Thursday, September 10th, and the accepted plan right now is that no fans will be in attendance. Now, earlier this week, we told you about WSU opening up its campus for voluntary workouts for several university athletes. That includes Cougs football. Now, regular testing and symptom checks are in place as those student athletes return, and the NCAA is announcing that they're thinking about a preseason schedule that could get teams ready for a possible season. There are still a lot of unknowns, though, with very few details right now on how college football would work. But if university football programs do stick to the schedule that's in place right now for the year, one of the best parts of the college football scene is probably going to be missing this year, and that's fans not being in attendance at those games. I do want to look ahead, though, a little bit. 3 weeks from today, when the defending Major League Soccer champions right out of Washington State, the Seattle Sounders, are officially headed into a new soccer tournament. It's called the MLS is Back tournament, and it involves all 26 Major League Soccer teams. And these games are going to be important. They're going to matter in the seeding for future seasons. The entire tournament's going to take place in Orlando, Florida. Fans will not be allowed in the stands, but Major League Soccer is working on a deal right now with broadcast groups like ESPN to make these games available for anyone to enjoy on TV and online. The first game starts in 3 weeks from today on July 8th. Of course, this morning we want to hear from you. Join our conversation. Let us know on our text line 509-448-2000 if you think sports should be played this year or if fans should be allowed at games. We'll check those out throughout the morning. Time to check in as well with our own Dana Marie McNichol this morning, since I butchered your name last time.
You got it, Joshua. You got it.
5 months in, I
It's a
still
long
got it. What's our reason to smile this morning, Dana Marie?
Oh, it's definitely a remarkable story of recovery, the type of coronavirus coverage we can all smile about. A 106-year-old woman in Washington is one of the oldest coronavirus survivors in America. So when Fritzy Bryan of Yakima had tested positive for coronavirus, her family thought they would never see her again. That was back in April. Well, her family drove to Yakima with a big handmade sign and roses for Fritzy. They thought that they could at least kind of wave through the window, as many people did during this time when they couldn't see their loved ones. But because of the stay-at-home order, none of her family could visit her, not even through a window, because her long-term care facility didn't have access to that. So after living through the Spanish flu, 2 world wars, she told her family, "I'm not going to let this pandemic get me down."
worked hard at that.
Was it scary at all?
Well, actually, it went so fast that I didn't have time to be scared. Well, I have a lot to smile about today.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, her family says it was her positive attitude and ever-present smile that kept her alive. And after 4 weeks, the staff at her long-term care facility in Yakima said she was symptom-free, got to tell her family that she had beat coronavirus and that her grandmother was one of the oldest in the United States. What an incredible story for your Wednesday morning. And, you know, at the other side, we're not totally through the coronavirus yet, but to hear these stories along the way, I think it makes a big difference.
I also want to ask Jen if Grandma Fritzy's outfit has any inspiration on maybe a pink boa that Zelda could wear.
As long as it's faux fur, she's all about it.
Love it, love it. I do think Grandma Fritzy Thomas is such an emblematic, you know, positive attitude, keep going, and boy, she has a laugh that is super addictive.
Yeah, it's very contagious, if you will. Yeah, it's great to see that kind of positive energy, and I'm sure that her family was helping to maintain that, and of course, she's just giving it back tenfold now.
Plenty of reasons for us to all smile. Dana Marie, thank you for bringing us that story this morning. Still to come here on Up with KREM, some people are taking their own extreme measures to visit loved ones in the age of the coronavirus. Coming up, the lengths some people are going to see the most vulnerable people to the disease.
And here's another thing to smile about. All that sunshine that we're getting this morning looks fantastic. The only question is, how long can we keep it around this time around? So a look ahead at that, plus your weekend forecast, the Father's Day weekend forecast, is all coming up on Up with KREM.